All right, here we go. Late night happy hour. Thursday night, Law and Sporter podcast. No legal experts tonight. So we'll do a regular pod with Vegas news and what else is going on, whatever else is going on. So Adam Hill is here, which we appreciate. One, because you have to work in the morning. You're doing what, 4 a.m. on VSiN?
Yeah, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Nice. And you're doing, what are you in the rotation for like the next month?
Yeah, I'll be here and there. I'll be bouncing in and out of the morning show. And yeah, I'm actually offended that you said there's no legal experts. I mean, I did go to the law school of Justin Watkins.
Amateur legal experts. Well, not me, you. All I do is drive the ship, and I was going to say try to avoid icebergs, but I don't even do that. So
sure, try to steer into them.
Yeah. All right. How many of these 4 a.m. starts are you going to do? What have you signed up for already?
I don't know. I mean, I know that I have 4 coming up in the next 7 or 8 days. So.
Boy. By the way, for anyone watching, can you just go up to all the tweets that are posted asking questions about Paul and just give them some answers? Because it's not our job to, but my God. Like I dropped a note the other day. It looks like he's suspended through probably the end of August, and hopefully he's back for the football season. But he's got like 20 or 30 devotees, which is feather in the cap of Paul Howard. But yeah, it's going to be a while. So just tell everyone to chill out. Maybe he'll be back, but like it's not a mystery. There's been discussions. It's like people don't read through threads at all. Weird. So in the meantime, you were going to get some sleep, but you stepped up to do this. But then you just told me that there was a big interview on a podcast with Mike Mayock, and you then proceeded to, instead of napping, you just transcribed the interview for like 2 hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, transcribing an hour-long interview takes a long time. I skipped a bunch of questions because I was like, well, I'm probably not going to use that in any stories. But anything that I thought I could potentially use in a story the next month, because I have a lot of training camp preview stuff to do.
Yeah.
I transcribed it, so I wanted to have a base of things. So
did you go back? Did you go back and transcribe or listen to the Derek Carr interview at the golf tournament in Tahoe?
I didn't.
Dude, you got to go back and I have most of it cut up. I mean, the vast.
I got to rest.
No, you don't have to transcribe. I'll send it to you so you can listen to it and see if it's of interest, because we used it for 3 days last week, and it was pretty good stuff. Mayor Vegas says, "Who's back first, Paul Howard or Trevor Bauer?" I don't want to. There are allegations right now with Bauer. I guess with both. I think Paul will be back before Bauer. What do you think?
Yeah. Wow. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what the line would be.
I don't know, man.
Well, right now it's going to change probably. Right now we have a date for Bauer on the 28th. It's through the 27th. So right now the 28th will be back. Now I don't believe that's true, but we do know that. So to Mayor Vegas' question about that I asked. Well, first of all, it wasn't me doing the interview. I won't have Mayock available until probably like a couple weeks from now. It was somebody else did the interview. There was a lot of offensive line discussion, and he did go in a lot of detail to why they made the first round pick that they did of Leatherwood, and even more so about the changes that were made on the offensive line. Okay. Which I thought were some of the more interesting things from. In fact, my first story that I'm going to work on about the interview is offensive line related. It's why they made the decisions that they did, and he said I thought it was fairly interesting that he brought up his first discussion with Gruden about potentially coming to the Raiders, and Gruden said, "What concerns you about this team?" And Mayock said his answer to him at the time was, "Your offensive line is all getting old together, and that's a problem you never want to have."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
all right, good stuff. Yeah, we are just a few days away from freaking launching back into football full bore. It's going to get crazy.
We are, as a radio show, I'm already in, so
yeah,
too late for me.
Yeah, as the newspaper, it's your most traffic, so you guys are all over it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is this? I'm just getting a... Okay. A rando link to a friend's story, so...
There's also, I know it's my brother asking for a Lucy sighting. I will say, I think we talked about on the show that she was going through some tough times. She's bouncing back. She's bouncing back, but she's about 6 feet away from me.
Internal injuries or officially a concussion, or both?
No, internal.
Internal bleeding.
It was pancreatitis.
You said some lady punched your dog, or kicked it?
Some lady threw her.
Oh, threw her. And what, she bounced off the ground or like a bench or something?
The ground. Knocked the wind out of her.
And that lady's now been banned from the dog park?
Yeah, she was run out. She was run off by a bunch of people.
Do you keep an eye?
Sure.
Are you watching out for her?
Well, there's no dog park visits anymore for right now. So,
wait, Barron doesn't go to the dog park?
Well, Barron's not going much. He goes a little bit. Lucy has tried, but she's not going to go very much.
I don't blame you. Ryan Carl saying that would have been the end of him, or it would have sent him. It would have sent him back to the clink again. So I'd be in jail for a long time if I was there.
I wasn't there either, so it probably would have been a bigger problem if I was there. I was not.
Oh, was your mom?
Yeah, she was there.
Oh boy.
But I would bring her over, but she's very, very comfortable right now. So
yeah, let her chill. Let her chill. Yeah, longer. I get it. Longer time. All right, so let's get you updated on what's going on. And I don't know. I guess we could say, hey, I saw this coming. I didn't think it would get this severe this quickly, but we're losing Vegas events quickly. So, last week we found out we lost freaking Wilder and Fury on the 24th. Now we find out tonight, just a little while ago, because of the Bradley Beal getting booted from the team, for COVID concerns. And they've got another player they're watching that their next game against Australia at the Mandalay Bay Event Center on Friday, tomorrow, that's been canceled. They have one more on Sunday against Spain. I highly doubt that one will be played, but we'll see.
It's fine. It's fine. They don't need any practice or tune-ups.
Yeah, they really need it. Let's set this up, like what's going on right now, because obviously this is another big one that has an effect on us. And I thought it was just Fox 5 doing kind of their normal bullshit, like overselling their teases like they do often, which whatever, it works. But I try not to get caught into their nonsense. But they did mention LA County reinstating the indoor mask mandate that an official there said don't go to Nevada. So I wanted to watch this. So I'll load this up for you. Sorry, the video's small, but the sound's the most important part. Hopefully it works. We'll get a commercial, I'm sure, before pricks, even though I had it queued up already.
Front door and more with Cox Home Life.
Checkmate.
3 seconds. Little double commercial now. My God, the production on this podcast sometimes horrendous. Just play.
Never happens.
I know. That's why we never use off of websites. I always try to download it, but who knows what this thing is doing right now. It's another commercial.
Monitor your front door.
Let's see if we can get it to play like 5
Cox
times.
Home Life.
Checkmate.
Angeles County reinstated its indoor mask mandate for everyone, even people who are vaccinated.
The county's public health officer says there has been a rapid increase in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. They say the county has been recording 1,000 new cases each day for a week now.
That's awesome. Good pause. Yeah, so obviously people are freaking out. They're like, this is bullshit. We're going to have to do the mask
goes into
again.
effect on Saturday, and the
Here we go.
officer went on to tell Californians do not travel to Nevada.
But I do want to recommend that, especially if you're unvaccinated, reconsider traveling to places where the 7-day COVID-19 case rates are increasing or high, like Nevada. Our neighbor.
Oh, fuck off. So there you go. So official saying don't go to Nevada in LA County. So, I mean, can't get mad at them, right?
No, they're right.
He's stating fact. Don't go to places that right now are spiking.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling, like, listen, half of LA is here every weekend. No surprise to me that their numbers are going up. They're here. And this is a hotbed for reasons that we've talked about. We talked about it before we, fully reopened and said, of all places, this is, a danger spot. And it was funny.
Can I break in for 1 second? I will say, and this is very unscientific, but from my observation of being in Orange County last weekend and Monday, Tuesday, we are still way ahead of them in terms of respect for what's going on. There's a lot more people here still mashed up. I mean, I'm talking like there, it might have been 1 in 500 that had a mask on. Like the OC is like, it's gone, it's done. We're congregating, we're getting together in crowds. I don't know who's vaccinated, who's not, but if they're not vaccinated, they don't give a shit. So I still feel like we still have a healthy respect for what's going on. And especially, I think the place I see the mask on most here are in grocery stores, at least from my experience. But down there,
I see some slot machines. I'll say, first of all, I know the commenter's already saying it, but you should know better. Do not compare Orange County to LA County.
Oh no! I know it's different. No, what I'm saying is you have an LA County official saying that Nevada and Vegas is dangerous, and it's like, hey, the county to the south of you, from what I saw, like all bets are off there. So worry about what's like your direct adjacent neighbor more than coming here 4 hours away.
Sure.
I mean, people can do whatever they want. I did want to throw out there. Do people remember at the beginning of all this, what happened with people who had like non-refundable hotel reservations? Were they easy in giving back your money because, hey, the places are closed? Like, I wonder what they're going to do now. Like this coming weekend, if Californians are like, oh, fuck this, man, we're not going. I want my money back. Or they're like, too bad. Got to take the risk.
It's a fair question. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And also, like, a lot of this stuff is so crazy to me. I know you still are still wearing a mask a lot. I am doing it in certain spots, like with close contact with people. I'm putting it on just out of respect to them. But I also will say, like, anywhere you go where they're like, hey, put a mask on, I'm like, okay. Like, I can't even fathom a mindset where you have a problem with it or get annoyed by it or angry. Like, it's really not that hard. You just do it. And I was also I go on a couple of different travel forums before I go. So I'm taking a trip again next week, and I very often go on travel forums, see what's going on, like a lot of Reddit pages and different things like that, Facebook groups, stuff like that, just to check out what's going on in the places that I'm traveling to. And I know that in Cancun where I'm going, masks mandatory again. I'm going there also, AJ. Maybe we're at the same time.
Are you and AJ meeting up?
Maybe. Possibly. We might be on the same time. So, but masks are mandatory there. Everything closes at 11. Bars can't serve alcohol. They can't be open after 11. Restaurants have to close by 11. I was there for that last time. Same thing, same rules. And there's still mask mandates. And what people were saying, there was like Americans on this forum, complaining about the mask mandates and closures and COVID's over, blah, 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 blah. And somebody else came back and started attacking them. And then it was everybody attacking them and said, do you realize Americans are like the only people that are still complaining about these things? Everywhere else in the world, still masks, still, some restrictions. Like, Americans are the only people. And by the way, I remember a time when certain Americans were saying this is all a political ploy, like, for the election. And, this was like whatever kind of nonsense they were spewing. Like, this is only in America where we're like, it's over. We're good now. Like, what are you talking about? It's completely insane.
I'm done fighting it, so I'm going to be careful. People can do what they want. I hope people still come here. I hope, people here don't get sick because of people coming from California. So we got to stay open. Hopefully there's a respect for it. And, if the thing spikes, but it does suck. I mean, like sporting events, I think we may have a lot of big events that get canceled in the next, couple of weeks. That includes shows and concerts, and that's not good for Vegas. We were humming the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems that we've had, and one of the reasons that mask mandates are going back in, and it's like even for the vaccinated, people are like, well, why the vaccinated people do? It's because people are jackasses. And like we said it when it happened, and we knew it was going to happen. It's not a surprise. But when they came out and said, no more masks, they didn't say for everyone.
Right.
They said no more masks for vaccinated. But if we have 50% vaccination rate, that means 50% of people that you see out in public are still supposed to be wearing them, and they're not. And the enforcement is impossible. Yeah. It is. And so I understand, like, businesses are like, well, people will come in and scream and yell at us if we make them wear a mask. But so we put up a sign, like everywhere I go, you put up the sign and it says, if you're not vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Well, whose job is it supposed to be to enforce that? It's impossible. That's why it took so long from the time vaccination started to the time they removed the mask mandate for vaccinated, because of the enforcement. And you saw what happened when you're like, okay, from now on, if you're vaccinated, no more mask. Then all of a sudden the unvaccinated are like, cool, no mask for me. I'll just say I'm vaccinated. Well, fuck you. You're just assholes at that point. And now that's why we have to go back to this.
Arash with this tweet. I don't know if you can see the bottom of the video. It's just Lance Armstrong saying "fuck you" repeatedly.
Yeah.
Arash goes, "L.A. County's re-implementing the mask mandate while indoors. Everyone's still choosing to not to get vaccinated. With all due respect." And it's just Lance Armstrong. Fuck you.
Yeah. So. But it's also, and I see this like, hey, once you're vaccinated, you're protected. That's not true. First of all, let's say, and I do believe a lot of numbers of vaccination, effectiveness rate is between like 96 and 98%. That's not 100, first of all. And the reason that we've got the Delta variant, which is, running rampant right now, the reason that we have it is what we said from the beginning. I showed people these text messages from 4 months ago that were like, from some people that are, anti-COVID, COVID hoaxers and that sort of thing, that were like, what do you care? Once you're vaccinated, like, you're fine and you can ignore everybody else. Like, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I said, no, because once it spreads more and more, and now it's trying to get around the vaccine. So it's trying to, that's what viruses do. They evolve. It's evolution, and viruses evolve as well. And now it's evolving to try to get stronger and get around the vaccine. So now it's also trying to get to people that are unvaccinated, of course, but now it's just getting stronger and more transmissible because it has to be, because some people have the vaccine, and now it's affecting those people. So everybody needs to be vaccinated or wearing masks, or else it spreads more, gets stronger, and then does affect people that are vaccinated. That's why it matters. And that's not some crazy, oh, now you're just saying that. Like, no, that from the beginning that was said. From day one that was said. And now people are like, now it's getting stronger. Oh, okay. Yes, that's science. And it was said from day one that would happen if people didn't get vaccinated or wear masks. So don't say that this is some new conspiracy. Like, that was always what it was going to be. People just drive me nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I've seen this line a couple times about CDC guidelines that LA County is actually violating or going against CDC guidelines. Adam actually cares about people. I really don't. I care about me and the people close to me, and I care about my money, and I care about my vacations coming up. So I'm going to mask up. I'm going to be safe. These folks who want to fight for freedom, you're not costing me my vacation. You're not costing me my money in the fall. I mean, and we saw today, Rich Eisen is fully vaccinated. He's got it. And, when people are like, why do you care? You're vaccinated. Well, I care if I get it, and then I have to sit out of work for 10 days or 2 weeks. That fucks me.
Yeah.
So that's why I care. I really, the health part of it, like, if you've made the decision that you're going to fight for freedom, whatever your cause is, or you don't think it's real, then you can roll the dice. But I'm not losing money from jobs coming up here as we get busier, and I'm going on vacation. You're not going to F me over. Seriously, I
agree.
It's incredibly. It's a selfish take on my part, but I'm not going to tell others to to do anything. You do whatever you want, but you're not effing me. I'm going to try to do my best to avoid it. So
freedom. Jesus Christ.
Hey, whatever, man. Fight for whatever you want to fight for. You know,
it just doesn't make sense.
If you just want to pick fights on social media and you get your jollies off of that, like, hey, man, I don't have time for it. So screw it.
But now you're out. Now you get to miss out on things that you wanted to see. I got that part. Sorry, the RDKX 259. I know you're being sarcastic. It's just I hear people say it. I'm like, freedom. Like nobody's putting you in jail. Everybody do what you want. Just get vaccinated and go live life. It's really not that complicated.
So I'm going to go in a completely different direction for a second here.
Good.
You keep sending over stories about Space Jam, and I still haven't. I'm not saying they're bad stories. It's just not something I connect with because I never watched the first Space Jam. I still have never seen it. I know.
Shouldn't that be what you're doing tonight?
You know what? We'll have to get into that in a couple minutes about Dead Sports Night. What should you be watching yesterday and today? So what's the latest now with this movie?
It's coming out tomorrow.
Okay, but you sent something over today. You remember what you sent over?
I don't remember. I believe it's. I can look. It's on my list here.
I'll grab it.
I have my. I think it's in theaters and on HBO Max. I believe is how they're releasing it.
It's on HBO Max.
I believe so. I saw that story. I could be. This is funny. I could be 100% wrong about this. Maybe HBO Max put the original up. Maybe that's what it was.
Well, if it's up for free, I might give it a couple of minutes.
Here's the thing. I love Space Jam, the original one. I thought it was great. I love LeBron. I have no doubt this is going to be terrible.
It's a disaster. Plus, people are going to be
awful.
They're going to be predisposed to go in wanting to hate it.
Oh, especially the LeBron haters. They're already hating it.
You sent over. Clay said he watched Space Jam to hype himself for SJ2 premiere.
That's right.
He also picked the Bugs over LeBron.
Right. It's ridiculous.
All right.
I forgot about that. I mean, listen, it's silly. But yeah, people, and I saw a tweet. It's gone like completely viral, even though it's such a pretty simple, stupid tweet. But somebody's like, there's a lot of the LeBron haters out there are going to turn into like cinema experts in the next 24 hours. The writing, the scripts were terrible. Like, stop it. It's a kids movie that's going to have a nod to the adults that are now, people that are now adults that were fans when they were a kid. Like, just stop. It's going to be a terrible movie. Enjoy it for what it is. It's going to be silly. That's fine.
I don't have a full odds board on the movie, but I think you can still bet this. You could bet offshore what will happen first in the Space Jam movie.
Okay.
LeBron run down block minus 250. LeBron called for a charge plus 170.
Okay.
Kind of costly split there.
Well,
See me about 30 cents, pricks. What do you go with?
By the way, it looks like...
Does he make the heroic block early in the movie, or does he get called for a charge? Don't you think a charge should be favored?
I mean, I think he's going to have... I think both are going to happen.
Like, wouldn't there be weaker, like, bad moments for LeBron early and then, like, heroic moments late? Like, he's got to be down before he comes back?
Well, the Monstars dominate early.
Boy.
But that doesn't mean he's going to get called for a charge.
Here's a loaded question. Go ahead, Adam. Was the first Space Jam good? Never saw it. So
I mean, how are we going to define good? I mean, it's nostalgic. You think back to when you were watching it when you were younger, and it was entertaining. It was Jordan saving the day with all the Looney Tunes characters you loved. Like, yeah, all that stuff was fine. Like, do you go back and look at it like Citizen Kane? No. It's not. It's not. It's not that. Like that's not what it was. It was fine. It was good entertainment, and now it is remembered much like a lot of things from back then. Like we remember it as far greater than it was, and it doesn't necessarily hold up. But it was fine for the time. And you have to remember what Michael Jordan was at the time that he made this. Like this is when Jordan was at his peak, and you've got LeBron now making it. Like when he's not at his peak anymore, he's like half hated, half loved. Like it's a different time. Like think about a movie coming out when somebody is like universally beloved as an athlete and starring in a movie with cartoon characters, which technology was unbelievable at that time. Like all of those things made it, awesome. Not the same, clearly.
Is that accurate? I have no idea. I don't know kids.
I don't know.
Would Daffy Duck even be in this movie?
Daffy was in the first one.
Okay.
You think they have updated cartoon? I think they have the same cartoon characters, I imagine.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good question. And it just said that HBO Max will have it. I just saw that too. So yeah, it's on HBO Max.
How much Space Jam 2 will you do tomorrow on VSiN? How much airtime does this get on VSiN?
I don't think John's seen it. It's me and John Von Tobel. So those who love Smarter Than You when it's on once every month, you can tune in and see a 3-hour live version.
So Von Tobel and Adam are both doing Follow the Money tomorrow with Mitch and Mitch is on vacation and Paul's out for unknown reasons. Do you guys, when you program that show, do you try to just stick with straight betting because of the pressure? Or do you jerk around?
Me and Mitch have done a little bit, offbeat a little. I think for where they are, I mean, there's a lot of betting stuff that you talk about. I mean, as you said, you can point out like the prop bets for it and find betting angles to different things. But I believe, I've only done the show a few times, and I'm just now getting to be more of a part of it. I believe that with the audience that they have, which is very wide ranging, and a lot of radio markets, a lot of TV markets, it's like a morning show where you have to kind of be more. You can't just be hardcore betting. I think everything has to have a betting angle.
All right. By the way, I don't have kids. Is this accurate? What do you mean kids don't get up early on Saturday and watch cartoons? What do they do? They sleep in?
Well, the kids that I'm around, they do, but it's just not the same cartoons. They watch different cartoons, and they watch it on Netflix and things like that. Like it's not the same. They can watch them anytime.
You guys really should push it tomorrow morning and just do Space Jam props for at least an hour.
I think once an hour, like on the 30s.
You mean for some people it is kind of a big deal?
Yeah, some people. It's a big deal to me. I will watch it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now I have something else I have to watch, which I don't even know if you knew this came out. But I think I'm going to save it for the plane. Did you see season 2 of a show that we both watched just came out?
Which one?
I didn't even know they were making a season 2. But Never Have I Ever season 2 just hit.
I couldn't remember how much you liked it.
Loved it.
The SO and I just watched the first 3 episodes, so
That's it?
Well, I ran out of time because I had to do this.
Oh, you watched of season 2? You're saying?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying you gave up after 3 episodes of season 1.
No. It's you want to describe it to people because I think when you describe it, all the positives you mention will still not hook the average guy. You have to watch it.
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe it that people would be interested in it. Like I haven't described it to a single person that was like, oh, I'll watch that.
Well, I'll say this. So it's about nerdy teenage high school life, and it's what's her name? Minnie Kaling I think she's the writer. It features the kids having narrators like Wonder Years, I guess, but the female lead, her narrator, her inside voice is John McEnroe,
right?
Which is and what they write for John McEnroe was awesome. And episode 1 of season 2, it's ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. It's funny. It's a good show, and if Adam likes it, then usually that means it's pretty funny. I trust him and his sense of humor. But one thing I did not realize.
But the important thing is it's Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling is a freaking brilliant writer.
She's funny.
So
he wrote a lot of The Office, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell was I going to say? Oh, what? I didn't realize. Was Chrissy Teigen in season 1 as one of the voices?
Was she? I don't remember that.
Yes.
I have to go back.
Well, she was because what's the lady's name? Is it Gigi Hadid? Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
She's now one of the voices, and it's because Chrissy Teigen got fired from the show. And my girlfriend was asking me, she's like, "What happened with Chrissy Teigen?" And I actually couldn't answer her because I just ignored whatever the fuck was going on. And I saw recently
online bullying.
Didn't Chrissy Teigen just say, "I'm kind of tired of the cancel thing"? Like, yeah, you don't get to be tired of it.
Yeah.
What did she do? Like, well, who did she bully?
The Courtney, Courtney Stoddard? Is that her name? Who married the old guy? I think she was bullying her a lot.
And it was really bad?
It was pretty bad, yeah.
So it turned out that this lady who was pretty well liked on social media, like, really destroyed her reputation, Chrissy Teigen. I wonder, I don't know, I don't know if there's anything out there that's bad about John Legend. He seems like a pretty cool cat to me, and like a nice guy. I wonder what his conversations with her must have been like. What the fuck are you doing?
It's just to be like,
like, we're riding high. Why are you doing this on social media?
I feel like he's been unscathed though.
Well, he should be. He didn't do it. You can.
I know, but usually you get lumped in with.
Oh, stop. But I guess
so.
Yeah. Wait, is this true? Never Have I Ever is actually a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh wow,
makes sense. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
Like I said, not most people aren't going to jump into it just by hearing the description. Like, it's about high school Indian girls. Like what? But it's relatable, I think, across all demographics, and I think it's just if it's a well written show, it's a well written show.
Yeah, I'm hooked. I'm hooked by it's a funny show, but John McEnroe, his lines hook me. John McEnroe was like one of my favorite athletes growing up. Emulated his sportsmanship when I played sports, so especially tennis and like bowling. So I get a kick out of that guy. He's a funny guy.
AJ said, "Whose partner hasn't done the about something their partner tweeted?" It's true. Fair.
Mine is rarely on social media. She bailed on Facebook, and she does Instagram, and she's not on Twitter. So she's not one of those Twitter wives or girlfriends who's backing up her radio host husband with stupidity. Which believe me, if she did it, I'd be like, stop. Okay. So
you think if you were to put out some like emotional post and then people like went after you, you wouldn't she wouldn't jump on and say, "Hey, he works really hard, leave him alone."
Well, one, I wouldn't put out the emotional post.
True.
And two, yeah, I'd be like, I'd explain to her who Brenda Warner was and be like, "Don't do that. Cut it out."
That's great.
Cut it out now. All right. I like it. All right. So, do you have the list in front of you? I wanted to go back to vaxxing for 1 second with the NFL. The four teams that are the most vaxxed and the four teams that are the least vaxxed.
I can get it.
Because I saw an update. Tom Pelissero says now there are 10 teams that have passed the threshold. It's 10 out of 32. They're past 85%. The top four teams didn't. I don't know. They didn't make any sense to me.
I've got it here.
But the bottom four, I guess you could start breaking down a little bit.
I don't know. I don't think they make sense either. So the top four were Pittsburgh, Miami, Carolina, and Denver. You still there? Sorry.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Sorry, I don't know if
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the coaches and the leadership. But in the end, there's only so much the leadership can do. It's got to be player driven, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so Pittsburgh, Miami, Carolina, Denver, highest rates. Lowest, the football team, the Cardinals, the Colts, which it surprised me at first. I said this because I think Frank Reich is a brilliant guy, and I figured he would probably be like, "Hey, any competitive advantage we can get, let's get it." But it's also Irsay. So,
Yeah, but like, as we break this down, I don't know what that means. Like, you just think he's rich? He's just gonna be like, nah, no one. You guys shouldn't get it. Don't fall in line.
Irsay strikes me as an anti-vaxxer.
Really?
I have no reason, like no basis for that whatsoever. He just strikes me as an anti-vaxxer.
Wow.
And then the last one.
Hold on. Yeah, I mean, come on, that's funny.
Yeah, it's good.
Irsay, big anti-drug guy. Yeah, big natural guy. Nothing like that goes in my body.
Exactly. And the last one, which everybody is really obsessing over, is the Chargers.
Which I don't freaking get. But I know what you're hoping for. I know it would make your day if Justin Herbert were the ringleader and pushing people not to get vaccinated. You'd be over the moon.
I don't really have a problem with Justin Herbert. He seems fine.
But I will say that it would shock me just knowing that one, he's a super smart guy, and actually I think is he a biology major?
Thought so, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like a big science guy, so you would think like
I thought.
But who knows? I mean I can't even explain it. I would have thought the Bills would have been one of the bottom 4 teams, but I guess the Bills are somewhere in the middle. We have no idea on the Raiders, right?
I mean, we know what they said. They said that they believe that they could get close to 100% by the start of the season.
Is there a shot the Raiders are in that group of 10 teams that are above 85%, just not the highest?
It's possible for sure. I think we'll find out when training camp starts because there's a lot of protocols that are in place if you don't make it.
What are the tells? Like, how will you know?
Going to be how many people are masked. How many? I think if we go in the building, I think we'll probably be able to tell if they still have their. So last year when they practiced inside, which they do stretches inside, practice outside, like to kind of go back and forth. But when we were inside the practice facility, there was like Zoom setups everywhere, all around the practice facility on the practice field. And I assume those will be gone if they're over the 85%. I think that's probably one way to tell, but I think, who's in masks, who's not, that sort of thing. We'll be able to tell from that as well. And then also like just the traveling is going to be different. So I think you could just ask the question of how they're traveling and is anybody traveling separately and is anybody eating lunch separately and all those questions, which again, there's a lot of rules there in place if you're not to that level. And then whatever players are not vaccinated beyond that have to go through a lot of protocols.
And you did say that the Raiders are making sure they're as safe as possible. So any media member who's not fully vaccinated is not allowed at the facility at all?
It's an NFL rule.
Oh, that's every organization.
From what I was told, that's an NFL rule. Definitely, I can speak for the Raiders for sure. I know that we got that sent out, that if you're not vaccinated, you can't attend practice, can't attend games, can't do interviews, can't be in the media room or the practice facility. You're basically banished if you're unvaccinated, which I say bravo. And I think that's a league-wide rule, though.
Wow. Well, we're going to find out in a couple of weeks, right? Who's affected, who's not, whose work environment is smooth, who's going to have some challenges.
Keep an eye out, those of you out there, for media people who are not doing reports from the facility. It'll be funny.
I would assume most of the regulars are vaccinated, although you did say...
I think there's 2 that I know for sure.
Without naming names, that two of the local TV people were masked up at USC. That doesn't mean they're unvaccinated. They could be like me and just being extra careful.
Well, it was 2 people I suspected anyway. Like when
the 2 names you mentioned to me, I did not expect. I absolutely expected one of them. It didn't surprise me. So anyway, we're not going to name them.
No.
Yeah.
No, but
I would assume. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that Kevin is going to be out there a lot at Raiders facility.
Sure. Just for the background,
but we're not gonna name them.
I didn't notice what you did, and I just figured it out. I just for the background on it, when this was announced, when they said nobody can enter the facility or games if they're unvaccinated, of course, doing what we do, the obnoxious kids in the facility, which I would include myself as part of, who just do nothing but make fun of people, we started coming up with a list of who's not going to be able to cover the team this year because they won't get vaccinated. And I will tell you that both those names were on that list. So that was predicted. But so this is how we know, just because me and Steve are talking about it without giving you the background. They came up with the rule and said, you can't enter. But the UFC's rule is you can cover UFC events, but if you're unvaccinated, you have to prove that you're vaccinated, and then you don't have to wear a mask at the event. But if you are unvaccinated, you are required to wear masks at all times when you're at the press conferences or in the venue. And so you could tell, because they were enforced, the UFC security was enforcing it pretty strictly, of knowing who was unvaccinated and who had to be wearing masks, and then they would come over and make you wear the mask. So there was 2 local media people. There was a couple of media people in general, but nobody would know who they are. They're not really local. But the 2 in particular were local, and so I would assume would also not be able to cover the Raiders.
Interesting. Real interesting. Cam, you're in late.
What's up, Cam?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 o'clock start. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, Tuesdays are 9 now too?
Yes.
I'm behind.
So with the 4 teams at the bottom, give them to me again. It was Colts, Cardinals, Chargers, and
how did I already forget?
Colts, Cardinals, Chargers, and
Washington football team.
Football team. Would you start to lean towards the under for season win total, or do you wait until the beginning of August to see if they make big progress?
Well, I mean, if you're at 50% now, how far do you think you're going to get?
Yeah.
How many of those guys are you going to convince? I mean, maybe when they actually see, seeing the rules on paper is one thing, and then experiencing them is different. So maybe you get into the facility and you're like, wait, I have to do what? I'm not really allowed to travel with the team. I have to travel separately, and I've got to eat my lunch separately. I can't be around them, and I can't be in meetings. And especially I don't know how many of those guys are roster bubble guys, because I go back to the comments from from Buffalo, from their front office, basically saying hey, if there's a guy in the bubble, where was it a Chinese league or a Canadian Football League team, right? I can't remember who it was. It was last week, and I saw the story, and I was so happy that a player was traded because they're like, listen, he refuses to get vaccinated. We're done. We're out. I think it was a CFL team, maybe. And again, you're not going to cut a star player or trade a star player because of it. But if you're on the bubble and you've got a vaccinated guy against an unvaccinated guy, and that's a competitive advantage issue where you can't do meetings live, or you can't have the whole team together to watch film, or you have to separate them for practices or trips, and it becomes a hassle. I have no doubt that the team is going to pick the vaccinated guy over the unvaccinated guy if it's a tiebreaker, for sure. So maybe that starts to take effect too. But I don't know. I think we'll see some players start to do it. But would I look at taking the under? I wouldn't say if I thought a team was going to be, if I'm I think they're going to win 11 games, their total is 8.5. Now I'm going to take the under because they're low numbers. No. But if I was kind of leaning, I was leaning under on a team, and now we see that they're under 50% vaccinated, yeah, I would bet the under. It's going to be. I know when we first talked about this, when the story came out, people were dismissive of, it's just whatever. But talking to people around the league, the rules are very, very strict and stringent, and they're going to be very much a competitive edge for teams that are at that level against teams that are not, and it is going to be punitive against those teams that have low vaccination numbers. So, yeah, I think if you're leaning under on a team and you see that they're under 50%, I think you would definitely be stronger about your bet.
I hadn't seen this before, and maybe you've heard this, but the guy reported it today, Rob Matty from Philly. So he's the one who put out the 4 most vaccinated teams and the 4 least fully vaccinated teams. He said teams on the lower end of the vaccination chart face potential competitive disadvantages, which you just said. He says, especially because the NFL doesn't plan to cancel any games this season, per my source. Now, does cancel mean not moving games? Like, could the penalties be that severe where they're like, you play with what you have? And, like, we could have a lot of Broncos situations. I mean, that was the worst one that happened last year, right?
Yeah.
Where they went into a game last minute. They're like, we don't have a quarterback. The whole quarterback room is wiped out. So we got to have a wide receiver play quarterback.
I mean, yeah, that was about the worst one.
And I would think at that point, if you're in a city and you're like, "Hey, freedom! I back my guys. They don't want to get vaccinated." At that point, if your team is getting forfeits, or they're out there with, whatever, 36 of their 53, and they got to just add some practice squad players. They don't even have a freaking full squad, but they play games all hampered. I would think at that point fans would be like, or will they turn to the NFL and be like, that's bullshit. Like, you've been told the rules. If you want to risk winning football games, then pump your fist and fight for freedom, but there could be a cost.
Yeah, and to Kirk's point, since this is a legal pod still that we're doing, and talking about when will somebody sue because they lost a job, they can try. I mean, you can try to sue for anything. But like we talked to Justin Watkins about this yesterday, it's going to be pretty quickly dismissed. Like,
well, I think we already had a precedent case. What was it? The Houston Baptist Hospital, where they had I thought it was hundreds and hundreds, and it might have been thousands of employees, and they said, hey, you got to get fully vaccinated, and about 125 said no out of 2,000. They took it to court, and the judge is like, no, sorry, can't back you on this one. The employer can, and in the case of the NFL, like you've explained a million times, is not forcing vaccinations. These are the rules. They're just different rules. Can't force you, but these are the rules.
Yeah, and could a player sue because they got cut for not getting vaccinated? Nobody's going to say it's because you didn't get vaccinated. First of all, again, it's going to be like a tie-breaking situation, and a vaccinated player helps the team more than an unvaccinated player does when you have a percentage you have to reach. They just do. And all of this is part of the collective bargaining agreement. So, there's nothing you can do except maybe try to sue the union, but that's not going to work either because you're a part of it. The whole thing is, pretty straightforward. You can't require somebody to get vaccinated, but you can have different rules if you refuse to do so, and that's what's going to happen. And in terms of employers, as Justin pointed out, 100% you could say your employees have to get vaccinated, and if they don't, you can get rid of them.
Again, different direction. Who do the Golden Knights trade tomorrow or trade for tomorrow? Blessing was saying, Brian Blessing, one of our hockey regulars, gambling expert, was on Wednesday, and he fully expected before the trade freeze goes in, the whole league gets frozen, so that Seattle's the only one who can make deals. He said the Knights would go and grab someone to start, roster reorganization before they have to hand in their list.
Well, Knights don't have to hand in the list.
That's a good point. They don't have to. But they would be making a trade before this freeze.
It's possible they can go swoop somebody up that teams are trying to maneuver around, or teams think they're going to lose a certain guy, so at least try to go trade him instead of losing him, so you get at least some asset back. But I'm gonna look foolish when this is wrong, but I just don't see teams doing it. I just don't see teams giving up players, or again. What was happening with the Knights was not only those kind of trades, but there was trades being made among other teams like, hey, let's trade this guy because the Knights will take him. So let's trade him real quick to Columbus. So at least we get a third-round pick instead of just losing him outright. Well, now you're losing him and another guy because now you're losing two players because you were trying to avoid losing one. It was completely crazy. And then all the deals that the Knights made of collecting 3-4 players or 3-4 assets for teams to give up a certain player over another one. That's why the Knights were so good. Again, when people talk about the rules that the Knights got, it's not necessarily the rules because Seattle gets those same rules. It's how dumb teams were trying to get around the rules. And they've learned those lessons, I think. So I don't think you're going to see a whole bunch of movement to get out of this. I think teams are just going to say, hey, take what you're going to take. Like, let's just make this happen. And you saw little things like, teams getting guys to agree to waive their no movement clause so they could be on the unprotected list because they know they're not going to get taken. Things like that you're seeing, but I don't think you're going to see a bunch of teams giving up assets to try to get Seattle to take a certain player because that was the lesson that people learned about the Knights. Like, don't give them 4 assets instead of 1.
All right. When's the last time you had hiccups?
It's been a while.
Like, I never get them.
Really? It's at least 6 months, I would say, maybe more.
Oh my God, this is a good random question before the hiccup story. Random question: March Madness Thursday AM stadium swim cabana cost ideas. What do you next March day 1? I haven't been there yet. How many cabanas do they have?
A lot. There's some different sizes. I mean
I get the point. He can charge basically whatever he wants, and I'm sure he'll comp a bunch too, to friends and important people.
I'll say this. I mean, we had a group of 8, I believe, for Warriors Lakers, the play-in game, and we had the cabana for free. And we just had to pay for food and drinks. And it was 8 people, and there was 3 of us that weren't even drinking.
Yeah, holy.
And I think it was $1,100.
Okay.
And there was nobody there.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, my preliminary guess is like 12 to 15,000.
Really?
But that's a total guess.
So it really is amazing. If you told people, 10, 15, 20 years ago that this was possible downtown, it would be like, what are you talking about?
But it is going to be an awesome setup for the tournament. I mean, it's an awesome setup anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it gross. I mean,
people pay it.
Yeah, people will pay it. So
I think I told the story on the air, but I'll give it for this one. Like, I went with a group to a nightclub on the Strip a couple weeks ago, and it was guys that I knew were going to be basically paying for bottles in the booth and all that. But I figured, I'll throw in some, even though I wasn't drinking and I, was just kind of hanging out. I was like, I'll pitch in, see what the bill is, and throw like, not a third of it because it was three guys that were going to be kind of the main guys here. I can pay a third, but I'll pay a good share because I feel like I'm hanging out part of it. So I might as well chip in. Like, I'll throw $300 or $400 in there, and the bill came for 2 bottles, and it was close to $6,000. And I just said, well, I don't know that my 400 is going to really help. Like, what does it really do? Like, nothing. If you two are splitting it like 3,000 each, like, I'll pay 200 of that. Like, well, what's the point at that point? So, I didn't even pitch anything. Like, if you want this, you can have it, but I know you don't want to.
Trying to figure out what group was that. Was that part of the MIT group?
I mean, that's a good description. By the way, there's a big birthday this weekend.
Oh, really? With that same group?
It's going to be.
God, you are, man. You're telling me stories off the air. You're invited everywhere, man. You're hanging out with high rollers.
I have important friends.
Where's Brady tonight? I'm sure. Do we want to do your whole ranking? Man, when you were just an MMA guy, parties and invites down here. So, NFL up here.
Do you want the list? I can get the list of what the. So last night was strip club. Tonight is Tao and then a different strip club.
Oh wow!
Tomorrow, marquee pool party during the day, marquee club at night.
Is there an organizer? They sent it a schedule.
Yeah, it's a schedule right here.
Oh wow!
Daylight Saturday, Omnia Saturday night, strip club Saturday night, day club Sunday, and then Nelly Sunday night.
Oh wow! Do you have any? Are they doing multiple strip clubs, different ones, or do they have a strip club of choice?
Well, there's one of choice for sure, but I think they're going to mix in a different one of the nights. But 3 nights will probably be the same spot.
Right.
The only spot in town, by the way, the best one by far.
Really?
Oh yeah.
But do you really mean that, or the one that you're most connected to?
Most connected. Oh, it's spread. This has spread around to different circles, Steve. This place is
really
it's beloved.
Is it you? You've convinced people that that's the best place?
Multiple sports organizations now
Okay. Oh, is that right?
are involved. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you should be comped at that place.
Yeah. I
They should, treat,
do all right
they
then.
should treat you like a king. You're hooking them up with this many big wigs and sports people.
For sure. Taken care of.
Which, yeah, because my first thought was like, I was thinking back to radio workings, and I'm like, wait, how are we not there? But you're better off not even being involved with our radio cheap asses. So
Yeah, you're right.
you're making out like a bandit on your own. Oh, so here's the reason someone was mocking on me. We're having fun with it. Cam was saying talking hockey. All of a sudden, Steve, when's the last time you had? The reason I brought it up, and it's a weird question. I'd never seen this before. Well, first of all, is there anyone who actually knows how you get hiccups generally?
I mean, I'm sure somebody knows. I don't know.
You know, why do hiccups happen, and why do they happen to some people more often than others? Because, like, I remember as a kid, I would get them, but all right, first guess is diaphragm.
Okay.
All right, I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, and to LV Pickle Gamer point, I did mention it on purpose. I want people hanging around me there all the time.
Oh, the one time you succeeded in not getting pops.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Oh.
Just say it's north of the strip.
Wow. So anyway, I assumed. Well, I didn't know this anyway. Is the president of Brazil in the hospital right now because he's had hiccups for over 10 days? And as it turns out, did you see the reason he's got hiccups?
No.
He's got bowel obstruction, which to me sounds like incredibly scary. I had no idea. I have no idea why this would happen. But I guess he's got to get some surgery to clear out his bowels.
So one side is jammed up. So it's corked. So everything's got to come out the other side.
I don't know. I mean, is this? Are we bringing it all together? Is Astro right? Did he have too many tuna sandwiches quickly?
Is that a thing? That's a cause.
No. See, here's the thing, Astro. Normally we could joke about the prescription for clearing the bowels is Taco Bell. I don't know what he jammed it up with, but it sounds pretty serious. And like they took a picture of him shirtless, like he's got wires and cords, and I mean he is plugged up, and he's trying to smile, but he can barely open his eyes. So
it is kind of funny.
Well, I don't root for anything like that. I mean, I know he's a hated figure in Brazil.
Oh, he's awful. But do you just the frustration, the mental breakdown of having the hiccups for 10 days seems like I would lose it. Like you get annoyed when you have hiccups for an hour. That'd be insane.
An hour? 5 minutes?
Yeah, yes, that's a better number. You're
days
right.
of it?
It's preposterous.
So I think I didn't realize he got stabbed on the election trail. So he's had a rough time.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
treat people like shit. See what happens.
He's pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, but Adam did not have bowel obstruction or the hiccups because he just let it come out the other end.
Oof. That was ugly.
Is that the last time he's thrown up?
Probably. Yeah.
Martin. Hiccups for 10 minutes kill me. All right, good line there. Not breaking news that Brazil's president is full of shit.
Good line. Perfect. So truth and Duluth, I was making these references earlier. I said when I saw the story that he had hiccups for 10 days, I'm like, has nobody scared him?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the way to get rid of him? But it sounds like it's more of a medical issue than the easy fixes that we know of, like counting backwards or drinking water.
This is a good one. Over under 10.5 years before we have another world leader hiccup segment on the podcast.
Hopefully under. Well, you never know.
You never know. It's a weird deal.
Oh, it is.
All right. Well, I know you got to rest. So tomorrow, 4 a.m., follow the money. Mitch Moss is on vacation. Paul Howard is in parts unknown.
Hold on. Should I put it on the list the last couple of days, but we didn't get to it. But should we do the self-checkout story real quick?
Yeah, because you're not on this the rest of the week. So, yeah, I want to hear it.
So, and these I tell these stories only because, like, such ridiculous things happen to me. And we tell this all the time. Like, I don't know if it's a combination of just bad luck or just being obnoxious. I don't know what it is. But it's always something that happens. So I was at a store the other night. I guess I shouldn't say the name of the store because it was ridiculous. But they are trying to go to just all self-checkout. And I don't have I actually prefer the self-checkout. I think
Walmart doing that is ridiculous.
And that's where I was. Just no. But yeah. So I prefer the self-checkout because I think it's more convenient. I think it's easier to get out. It's fine. But I refuse to use it. Because it's absolutely eliminating jobs. And, like, there are little things we can do, like, you know, when we complain about things and, like, don't actually take action about it. It's the smallest amount of thing. I get that. It's a very minor thing. But I just won't use the self-checkout because I'm like, I'd like somebody to keep their job and to do this. So I'm gonna try to use a register. So I go over. There's one register that there's somebody at. And I go over there. And she was checking out somebody, and she says, hey, this is my last customer. I'm done after this. I was like, oh, what other checkout line is open? And she's like, self-checkout. And I said, oh, I don't use those. And she was like, okay, hold on one second. So I'm waiting there. I'm standing there. She rings up the guy, and she's like, oh, okay, like, I can help you with the self-checkout if you need. I was like, no, it's not an issue of being able to use it or not. I don't like that we're replacing people's jobs. I actually prefer to use the checkout. And she's like, well, I don't really understand what you're saying. I'm like, I don't like that we're eliminating jobs with these things. Like, I'd rather just use the checkout counter. And she's like, well, I'm only supposed to use this for people that need assistance. Like, if you are able to use the self-checkout, you're supposed to use the self-checkout. And I was like, that's fine. And I was like, but I really.
How does someone not understand? Like, I'm trying to help your cause.
But there was also, like, it got further because she was like, listen, this is not a job I care about. I don't want to keep this job. I'm like, lady, you don't understand. Because she's younger. So I think she's like, this is not my career. I'm like, I don't care about your job. I mean, I do, but, like, I care about the job being a job, whatever. So, okay. So she goes, okay, well, I'll come help you at the self-checkout so that you can figure it out. I'm like, it's not a matter of figuring it out. She's like, and it goes back and forth with this whole, she said, I'm only supposed to help somebody who needs the help, blah, 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 whatever. So I go over to the self-checkout. I'm like, fine. I'm just going to go use it. I'm done with this argument. And then she leaves and follows me over there. And she's like, no, sir, it's okay. I can help you. It is hard for some people. And I'm like, I'm furious at this point. Like, I don't need help using it.
You are an idiot who doesn't know how to use this.
So she's over there trying to help me. And then, of course, a severely handicapped woman is, like, trying to get to the register. And she's like, can anybody help me? And I'm like, please go help her.
Please help her.
And she's like, no, sir. I was with you first. I was with you first. I was like, lady, please go help that woman.
I don't need your help.
Your job is, if your job is to help the people that need assistance, please go help her. And she was like, no. I was like, all right.
That was a course right there.
Of course, it's only, like, me that can happen to for whatever reason. Like, it's weird. I don't remember seeing this medieval. By the way, that was a shot at one particular person. I'm sure people figured that out yesterday. I don't know if you saw that tweet, Steve, that Megan Fox called people stupid, idiotic, and medieval, MIDEVIL. And I'm like, you can't call people stupid if you're saying medieval.
Was that
you
were
that's
people,
stupid.
were people? Is that a reaction to people going after her for saying that Donald Trump is a legend?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. She said medieval. So yeah, I the whole self checkout thing. I guess I'll just start using it. I mean, like I said, I prefer. In fact, you know what I prefer? I don't know if you've done this. I sound like I'm a 90-year-old person that just discovered technology, but when you take the scanner at the entrance, have you done that move?
No, what is this?
So you shop, you
Right.
have the scanner in your hand as you're shopping.
Right.
As you shop, you just scan every item that you put in your cart.
Oh, really? I
And
didn't
then
know.
at the end, you turn it in, you put your card in, and you go.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, that I prefer. But again, I won't use it because I feel like now you're taking like 4 people's jobs.
Wait, do you believe this? That self checkout equals America's morality meter? Really?
Maybe.
I mean, I've been using self checkout forever. I just think it's faster, and I was actually thinking about this the other day, and we keep saying we're done, but does anyone else have the new thermostat from Nevada Energy where they can put your house into like energy save mode,
Dude,
and
it's so annoying.
and your temperature's jacked up?
It's so annoying.
Do you opt out, or do you always stick with it?
And I'm still with it for now.
I stick with it, and like this last week when it was really hot, yeah, I get home at like 6:15, and it was like, it doesn't end until 7, and I walk in the house, and I'm like, it's kind of uncomfortable. Then I kind of guilted myself into sticking with it, but then I thought about it. If they jack your house up like 5 degrees, and then then it goes back to normal, like shouldn't you get a grace period for your house to get cooler again? So I'm actually helping like society in general by participating in like a mild brownout. But then your temperature, say my temp in the house goes from 73 to 78, then I got to recool it to 73. So they're making money off of that.
Yeah.
Is that too complicated for you?
No, I get what you're saying,
I don't
but
think
it's
that's
also
fair. I think if I help you, then you shouldn't charge me for the next like 2 hours it takes to get the house back down to where it was.
Of course, but you knew from the beginning it was just a way to increase their profits. And
I never thought about that. I'm not a saint, but in this case, I want to participate. Like, I don't want to opt out of the thing every freaking time. I'm trying to help a little bit, save the system.
I mean, I literally now have 2 fans in every room, and the air, because you just don't know when it's gonna raise up or when it's gonna get hotter. Like randomly in the middle of the night, they'll raise it like 3 degrees. You're like, what just happened?
Well, that's been another big discussion this week. Not exactly the way you're saying it, Kirk, but is this right? A full fridge is more efficient?
I didn't know you
that.
See these things all the time. You're like, I don't know what's true and what's not.
And then Truth says, fill your house with tons of. Well, I mean, so I have to move all of my hoarding stuff from the garage and just stack it in my house, and it's cooler.
How cool is your garage with all the hoarding stuff? It's freezing in there.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's pretty steamy.
I will also say I took it out.
California. Well, how do they monitor 3-minute showers? Like, we're gonna have that eventually, right? Some sort of severe water conservation.
I would think so. I very much care about the environment, and I'm usually good about it. I will say there's some water stuff that I do that I'm like I'm a jackass that I really need to fix.
You flush a lot?
No, it's a really bad habit, and it's a mental thing, and I don't know how to like break it. But like I'll go like when you go in the bathroom in the morning, I turn the shower on and then go through like shaving and brushing my teeth and like all that stuff.
You're an idiot. You're doing that, really?
Yeah, and I don't know why, and I can't stop it. I don't know. It's a habit, and I can't stop it.
Well, you're not warming up the water because now
it's cold.
Right now, when it comes out, it's 98 degrees.
No, and I turn it on cold because I don't want to waste the hot water. And then that's like 30 seconds before I go in the actual shower, then I turn it to hot. And then sometimes I get caught like reading Twitter, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I actually believe this, that the toilets consume a third of all water. I'm waiting for a water company rebate because I had a running toilet, and for like 3 months I was getting annihilated in my water bill. And you always think it's like something serious, like outside, or there's some big leak under the house. And then I call the plumber. He's like, "Nah, this toilet right here has been running for months. That will kill you." And that's the guy I told you. He told me the whole, like, Marty Cordova set the record. Right. We've talked to Marty about this. Marty had like 14 toilets in his house, and they were like all running. It was like thousands of dollars a month, and the plumber always laughs. He's like, "Marty, with those toilets, man, they're running all the time." That's like one of the biggest water wasters in the history of the valley. I'm like, all right, relax. Not a bad idea. Throw at least like rinse them off in the toilet.
Well, Kramer was doing it in the shower while he was showering.
Are you going to start doing that? All your water activities are in the shower?
He's also cooking in there, like cleaning vegetables and stuff.
All right. Well, Truth says, think about it. A case of beer in your fridge retains a temperature better than the air, so it's specific heat. Okay. Getting all sciencey on us.
So, science is hard. I'm going to do it.
All right. Well, next show up between the company people is John and Adam in the morning at 4 a.m. Actually, Von Tobel's joining me in the afternoon at 3 on Cofield Company, so he's pulling a little double duty. But we appreciate you guys watching tonight. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we start at 9 o'clock. Tonight was not so much legal podcast because Judge Dan was doing his show at the Fan in Denver, and Justin Watkins had a little escape from town. He'll probably give you some details on what's going on. It's actually nothing crazy, but I want to hear stories next week, but he's in San Diego.
Oh, he did tell us, Steve.
Yes.
To announce the name of the restaurant tonight.
What?
The name is...
I wasn't ready. Yeah. I thought it was like another 3 minutes. No. I was all ready to end it. He didn't tell us shit. I actually... Have you talked to him about it? I think he's bailing on it.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know. I have no sources on this. My source would only be him. I don't know. He hasn't talked about it in a while, so I think he's getting jammed up with other stuff.
Oh, should we got other questions about the Daily Show? The reason that it's only 3 hours now.
Now we explained it a little bit last night and last week.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't think the 4-hour show was as good as the 3-hour show. And I don't believe we're staffed enough on the show to do a 4-hour show. So,
by the way, you realize I will say right now, this was our decision because I know immediately when you say that people are like, "Oh, they cut you back." No, they didn't.
It might sound like a fib. I didn't think the show was as good. And honestly, believe me, you know what? Here's the thing. Now that we're putting together a 3-hour show, like I actually, in some ways, I'm like, God damn it, we can't get anything in this show. But I'm not going to tell the bosses. Like
in 2 weeks, we're going to have to go back to 4.
We're not doing like I said. Someday we'll get into it, but we don't have the staff. We just don't have enough people. The fall and winter is going to be crazy every year with staff responsibilities. You know, everyone's got other jobs, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're coming off as pussies, but you're gonna get a lot more Golick Jr. Basically, like right now, it seems all weird. We're stepping out of the way for play-by-play at 5 o'clock on it's really the pregame show for the NBA Finals. Once football comes, what happens during football season is we have to get out of the way for Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. So the fall is going to be a little weird. Monday and Thursday we'll be doing 2 to 5. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, it'll be 3 to 6. So, but it's always a 3-hour show. 3 hours is tight. I agree.
Except every other Wednesday, it'll be 4.
Can you do a 6-hour show and get rid of Max? No. My prediction down the road is that, and this is, I'm making a prediction. I have no inside knowledge. I do believe that ESPN Radio is not going to offer as much as they offer now. Because I don't know if people read the story, but there's a chance that ESPN New York and ESPN LA will be branded ESPN, but they're actually going to be taken over by another management company, and big ESPN won't manage it. And I think it's slowly a signal that they're kind of not exiting the national radio space, but they're not going to be as dedicated to it. And I would think that our company would have the ability to mix and match more shows. So I think when shows like Dan Le Batard are actually available, kind of like Dan Patrick is, that we will put Le Batard back on again. And that will be in the midst of a local and ESPN lineup. I have no idea what ESPN will do at that point. But, you know, these radio companies are owned by regional companies. Like ours is a regional company. And at some point you're like, you know, we can't. They're trying with Golick Jr. and Shanae. But there are good shows out there that we could pick up, and I'm not saying it's a good show, but there are really good shows out there that we could pick up.
Can we put Pat McAfee show on? You know, that's my show.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of podcast, or there's gonna be a lot of independent shows or like really small networks that you'll be able to kind of piece things together. So, but I'm just guessing. I have no idea. Really, no clue. There you go. Strong.